Hey there YouTube, welcome to Kudou-kun's review of Berserk Cataclysm, an online TCG that you can play right now for free. Berserk Cataclysm is a fairly simple to get into game from IDC Games. From what I understand, it's based on another card game also called Berserk, but not called Berserk Cataclysm, and that's how you can tell them apart. I've looked into Berserk a little bit, and Berserk actually plays out way differently than this game, so it's a really different game altogether. If you take a look at my stats here as a player, you'll see I've got a life counter, a deck counter, and my level as a player. Instead of a traditional mana system, you'll see a number in the top left corner that shows how many more turns will pass before that creature comes into play. Every turn you'll draw one new monster, and the number in the top left will decrease by 1. When the number finally reaches 0, the creature will come into play on the first available slot, starting from the left and going to the right. Once on the field, the number in the top left will go away and the creature will gain 2 new stats. The swords represent attack and the heart represents life. Sometimes the swords will be replaced with a lightning bolt or something similar. That's a deeper part of the game that I'll let you get into on your own. On your turn, your creatures will attack the creatures in front of them. When a creature's defeated, it goes to the graveyard and your opponent has to summon a new creature in its place, or you can attack that space directly. Deal 20 damage by attacking directly and you win the game. As you can tell, duels themselves are a little bit automatic. It's not necessarily that the game doesn't have any strategy, it's just you can't control your cards once the game begins, so the strategy is mainly in putting your team together based on units that work really well together. I'll get a little more into squad customization later. The only other thing I want to point out are the little red bars on the bottom. You can use them to increase the speed that the battle happens. I highly recommend if you're going to start playing this game that you always keep it at maximum. You don't really have any control over the battle itself, and this is the most logical way to get the most out of your game time. Before each match, you'll have the selection of which squad you want to bring. It's normally 1 squad, but it can go up to 3. The more squads you bring, the more life each player has, and the more cards you have to work with. Every squad includes 1 hero and at least 5 creatures. Sometimes it's up to 7 creatures, but some heroes allow you to bring a piece of equipment or a piece of terrain, which also change up the gameplay. Again, I'll talk about that a little more when I get into squad customization. This is probably one of my favorite things about the game, especially when you get into the 3v3 battles, because it really lets you customize exactly what you want to do. You can have one set of cards that's low cost, another set of cards that's high cost. You could have one set of cards that is really good mobility and can move down the lane, and it lets you mix and match them. When you're only playing with 1 squad, it sort of centralizes it a little bit, like you have to work around one strategy or one set of cards. But when you have multiple, it really lets you customize the way you want to play the game. It also highly encourages experimentation. You can have multiple squads and choose which 3 you want to bring into every battle. Getting into the UI a bit, the first thing you'll come across is your tower. Your tower is sort of a central hub that lets you get to everything else in the game. My one problem with it is everything that's here is just literally a tab that's right above the screen, and they're actually a lot easier to get to. This is nice aesthetically, but it doesn't really add anything to the game, I feel. It can be customized, however, and it does look a bit nicer than just a bunch of words, but I'm just saying it doesn't have much functionality, and there's not a whole lot you can do with it. Next is your island. Your island is made up of hexagons, and each hexagon gives you different types of resources depending on the 5 elements. Sorry, I didn't really mention it before, but the game does have 5 different elements, similar ones that you've seen before. You've got mountains and plains, and hey, haven't I heard of this somewhere before in a card game? No, mountains and plains haven't been in a card game. But anyway, getting back to the game at hand, you'll notice there were things standing on my island pieces. So these are barbarians, and you can kill the barbarians to get resources from your island, because sometimes players will send attackers to stop you from getting resources and take the resources for themselves. You need the resources to get better cards, so you need to kill the barbarians. As you play the game, you'll get more hexagonal pieces to add to your island to make it bigger, and thus give you more resources. The next tab we'll look at is portals. Portals allow you to perform the main form of PvP that you'll be doing at first, which is going to other people's islands and attacking them. Each portal will show you which player it's connected to, and you can select a player, go through the portal to their island, and attack it. When attacking, you have to attack one of the outer hexes. This is how you'll get more hexes to increase your own islands. Battles here are pretty standard. It'll be 1 unit versus 1 unit until you get to the higher levels of gameplay where it'll be 2-on-2s or 3-on-3s. This is the battle menu. This is how you will access most of the game's content. The top row will give you dailies, which I highly recommend. Campaigns are the single-player story, tournaments are the main form of PvP, and the bottom are the PvP's only missions. Some of the quests, like King of the Hill, require you to pay some form of money before you go in, and then if you win, you get even more money than you put in yourself. You'll see a little red hex with a piece of paper in it that says ×8 up there. That's actually recommendations for what you should do next. It'll show you what campaign you should be doing next, what you should be aiming for, and this sort of keeps you on track and never makes you feel lost. The game does include league play, bronze, silver, gold, so on and so forth, and everybody starts off at bronze, as it should be. Riots. And you can grind out PvP matches here to increase your rank and get to the higher level players. My main problem with this mode is it is completely off-balanced who you actually get matched up with. If you'll notice, my opponent is level 2, and I'm level 12. My opponent here doesn't stand a chance, they're still playing with the base cards. If this only happened once or twice, I wouldn't be that sore about it, but my opponent here is level 0. That means they pretty much just created an account, played a couple of matches, and then stopped. Another level 0. Another one. Another one. Another one. A level 4. This garbage continued until I got to my bronze placement matches to promote to the new league. I figure, you know, whatever, I'll just beat a bunch of level 0s, I'll get myself into silver, and then I'll finally get to fight some worthy opponents. So I get into the match, and I'm like, whoa! Excuse me, IDC Games, but I see a very clear problem here. So of course this level 54 fudge packs me. Hopefully it was just a one-time problem. Let's just take a deep breath, we'll go into the next match, and... oh, you have got to be kidding me. Are we for real right now? I didn't even know you could get to level 70. So of course I lose, and here I am, back to having less than 500 points in Bronze League. And of course that means grinding on another level 0 until I can get back up to the high level players. It's kind of like if a video game had two settings, easy and chaotically brutal masochistic. Like you're going from a Lego Disney game to Dark Souls with absolutely no transition. The mode is broken. I don't even recommend it. The next thing we're going to talk about is some squad customization. So when the game starts out, you'll have 3 squads to work with. By winning matches and buying cards, you can have more squads, but every squad has to be headed by some kind of hero. If you don't have a specific hero, then there are some cards that you can't play, even if you get them through packs. For example, here I finally got a Darkness hero, so I can set him and then start playing some Darkness cards. He's also what we like to call a 7/0/0, so when I set him as my hero, I'll be able to have 7 other creatures in my deck. I've got one other hero I can start building around from Plains. This hero's different because he's a 6/1. What that means is I can have 6 creatures and 1 equipment card when I play with him. One thing that kind of bothers me is when I looked at the screen here, it said that I had 5 creatures I could put in and then I was missing 1. It didn't really tell me this, but that's actually in a different deck. So if I just go take that card out, then I can fully make this deck. So I switch, I replace him, and then I go back into my other deck. Now I can make my Plains deck. I have 1 card slot under equipment, which I didn't have with the other one, so I can set one of my equipment cards. Luckily, I do happen to have one. Playing with an equipment card means you're down 1 creature, but one of your creatures is going to be stronger because of the equipment card. Now, if I wanted to, I could continuously build squads, but I think I'm pretty good with just these 4 that I have. Next, let's do some shopping. You have 5 main options when it comes to boosters. The mini boosters have 3 random cards and you're guaranteed 1 rare. The super booster gives you 8 cards and you get 1 super rare or higher. The promo booster is how you get promo cards, and the mega booster guarantees that you get an ultra rare, I think it is. When you make a selection, you can pay extra to guarantee that you'll just get characters from 1 element. In theory, this means if you're buying a super booster from 1 element, you're technically just buying an entirely new squad. This is a superb addition to the game. If you happen to draw into a hero or a character that you really want to build around, but you just can't get all the cards you need for a full deck, then you totally can. One other thing I want to talk about here are how you actually buy the cards. So, if you'll notice, there are silver coins and there are copper coins. You get silver coins through playing the game and copper coins through the shop. As far as prices go, it's about $5 for 110 copper coins, so you can think of it as every one copper coin is about 22 cents, which I think is pretty reasonable. The last thing I really want to delve into are clan battles. Clan battles work about how you'd expect them to. You can join a clan, and every once in a while there will be clan battles on the map where your clan competes with other clans for territory, which gives you resources. Joining a clan can be a bit hard at first because most of the clans require some kind of level or you progress to a certain point in the game, but you want to get into a clan as early as possible so you can participate in these clan battles. I haven't been in one personally, but I imagine they're pretty awesome. They've also put in an era system, so if one or two clans just seem to be dominating the whole game, eventually it'll reset and you'll get another chance to conquer more land with your clan without being held down by one clan that's just ruling everything. Of course, with the free games also come the purchases. This game does run off of microtransactions and also a subscription base if that's what you want. When you first open up the shop tab, you're greeted to these chests. The chests are very important. They're little bundle deals that help get you into the game, and these are fantastic for newer players. $10 might sound like a lot of money, but if you find this is something you're going to stick with for a month or two, then you get a whole lot of benefit out of this mysterious chest. It gives you a competitive squad to play with, it gives you coins, it gives you pretty much everything you're going to need. The other chests are pretty good deals too. I wouldn't necessarily say they're as good as the mysterious chest, but they're definitely something to look at if you're not looking to spend $10 on this game, but you do kind of want to go somewhere. The next tab has the actual currency, and it's called ounces. I know I called them copper coins before. They definitely don't look the same as they do on the top. You can take a look at the prices here. Right now they're doing a 50% off deal, and this is great if you happen to want to get into the game right now, but if you're watching this a couple of months down the line, do keep in mind that this 50% off sale is just a temporary sale. The next tab are sets. So you can get sets of cards, you can get sets of hexagons for your island, you can get all kinds of deals here. This is pretty much just like a bundle menu. There's a lot of really awesome stuff here, especially with the 50% off sale they're running right now, but like I said before, the 50% off sale is not going to last forever, so if this video's been out for over a week or so, I wouldn't expect those deals to still be there. The ability to buy extra hexagon tiles is a pretty nice touch, and the dragon power thing is pretty awesome too. This next tab allows us to buy specific cards. From what I understand, there are some cards that you can only get through here. I don't know if I necessarily agree with this, but it is one of the features. The last thing we'll look at is Premium. So Premium gets special benefits. This is of course to be expected, and $30 is a lot of cash to dole out on this. I'm not going to get hugely into the Premium because it's going to vary from person to person whether or not you get enough mileage out of it to have the $30 be relevant. But I will say that if you are looking to get into this game, you do get a lot of stuff for the $30 Premium. And if you think about it, $30 isn't that bad in the grand scheme of card games. Last thing I really want to look at here are the special accounts. So you can get a special account tailored to one specific element if you know you're going to be playing that element. And doing that gives you bonuses to that element, like you get another set of resources and stuff specifically tailored to that element, along with some ounces that you can use to buy booster packs. It's pretty neat stuff. Overall, Berserk Cataclysm is a pretty interesting little niche game. It's not gonna be for everybody. If you are looking for a deep, rich strategy game to get into where you can just spend hours dueling people, bettering your strategy, this probably isn't the game for you. But on the other hand, if you want to get into a card game that doesn't necessarily require all of your attention, that maybe you want to do during loading screens or while you're watching anime, watching movies, whatever it is that you want to do and you just want something else on the side, this is definitely recommended from me. It's going to be tough to compete right now because there are a lot of really great app games too, but keep in mind that playing a game on your computer like this doesn't drain your battery life, so that's pretty cool. This is what I like to call an alt-tab game. If you're playing, let's say, like League of Legends, and you're in a queue, or you've chosen a character and you're in ranked or something, you just want something to do while you're wasting time, then you can alt-tab out, play a couple of rounds of this, and be good to go. Progression is lightning fast, so you can get a lot out of this game without having to spend too much time on it. A couple of downsides though. First of all, the game is a little generic when it comes to the actual setting. You got your green elves, you've got like your foresty guys, and then you've got mountains. Luckily they're snow mountains and not fiery mountains like in a certain other card game we're not going to bring up. But still, I'd like to have seen some variety. Like, the artwork is good on a technical level, it's just not something that I haven't already seen 1,000 times. Also, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys. The game does feel a little bit pay-to-win-ish. I didn't spend a dime on this game, okay? I didn't spend any money, and I got pretty far. So you don't have to worry about having to absolutely pay money, but if you get into the higher levels, like if you've been with this game for like 2 or 3 weeks, you'll notice that some people have a bit of an edge on you, and you're probably going to at some point have to drop $5 to get a decent pack of cards, to get a good squad under you to advance. I'm not saying it's guaranteed. Maybe you can figure out something that I didn't and just sweep the floor with people as a free-to-play player, but I do feel like they set it up where you should have to pay some form of money in order to progress if you get to a certain point. I want you guys to keep in mind though, this is a full-fledged card game, and you can't not spend money on a card game, and that's just the way it is. Most card games, it's like drop $200 on a competitive deck, drop $150 on a competitive deck. So I honestly don't feel like having to spend $10, $20 to be a competitive player in a card game like this is necessarily an awful thing, but it's definitely not going to be for everybody. IDC Games has a lot under their belt, not just Berserk Cataclysm, and I'll leave a link to their YouTube in the description below. You'll also find a link to the music that I used, and a link to sign up for this game for free. If you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like, those things really do help me out. If you have any thoughts on the game, then leave them in the comments section below, along with any suggestions on what you want to see me cover next. And finally, subscribe to stay up to date on the latest Kudou news. Until next time, enjoy your card games, nerds!